My name is Terry Martin, and I am a student teacher from the University of Northern Iowa, and right now I'm teaching at North Tama-Trier Community School District, and I'm teaching 5th grade. My activity today focuses on a web quest that I created that is based on Shakespeare, and what we did today was I wanted the students to get more of an idea about who Shakespeare was and what he did, when he lived, just basic background information. So they researched on the internet just to find out information about him, and then they will put that into a 1 to 2 page word process report. My goals and objectives for this activity really focus on the students just becoming comfortable with Shakespeare and getting a general background knowledge of him, because Shakespeare isn't usually taught in 5th grade, it's usually introduced in high school, and most kids are very nervous and very confused and frustrated when they first study Shakespeare, and so I thought maybe since they were younger and still like to use their imaginations and can really get into it now, that they could enjoy learning about Shakespeare at this age, and then they can use that background knowledge when they actually get into high school. I assess my students with rubrics. I have, I think, 12 activities or 12 different things that the students will be doing between now and by the time the unit is completed, and I have a rubric that's designed for each one of those activities, and the students know how to access them on the web quest, and so they can look at them at any time. I'm sure that I'll have to adjust my rubrics because I don't exactly know what to expect from 5th grade students since I haven't been working with them for very long. But I did want to give them a chance to earn as many points as possible, and so I thought that a rubric was the best way to go. This activity is the very first activity of my unit on Shakespeare that we are just starting today. And this activity will last probably about 4 days because the students need more time to do their research and then to work with their partner to write their paper and edit it and type it so that it's a finished product. The unit itself will last probably about 6 weeks because there's so many steps that we need to get through before the students actually begin to write their plays. And then the students will be broken down into different groups such as props committee, a costumes committee, and a publicity committee, and we need time for the publicity committee especially to get the letters and information out to people so that they know about our performances, which will be held at the end of December. My students are not reenacting this activity. They have access to the computer lab about every day, so they're pretty familiar with using Macs and working with different windows and getting from one place to another, but they have never seen this web quest before, and this was definitely new to them. This unit is based off a web quest, and I started looking for websites, and basically the websites I chose were ones that I thought the students could navigate through fairly easily. And most of them also include the same types of information. They tell about Shakespeare and his life, they tell about the Globe Theater, they tell about his plays. They really hit on the main topics that we're going to be talking about. That way the students can use the same websites for several of our activities, and by the end they'll be very familiar with them and can use them without a problem. I also have chosen 2 books, and the reason I chose those was because there's not a lot of books out there that help teachers teach Shakespeare to young children, and these are excellent. They include a lot of good pictures and graphics and a lot of good basic information that is readable at the 5th grade level. I also chose a CD that actually came with one of the books that I got. The CD contains readings of Shakespeare's plays, and I thought that was interesting because the students can actually hear the words and they can maybe develop an appreciation for Shakespeare for the way it sounds. And then I also chose a video to use of the same scene that the students listen to on the CD because it shows that Shakespeare can be understood, but it helps to have that visual there too. I want them to get over their fear of the words of Shakespeare, and I want them to just be able to understand it more, and so I thought that video might help them with that. I really wanted to focus on information processing, so I've made it a very big part of this activity. I started with appreciation by having the students listen to the CD and actually hear Shakespeare and what it sounds like. I also asked them to watch a video clip of Romeo and Juliet so they could see the difference between actually seeing Shakespeare and actually listening to Shakespeare. And then I showed them that saying sheet and had them go through that because I wanted them to realize that many of the phrases that Shakespeare used back in the 1600s are phrases that we use today, and that he's had a very big impact on our English language. From there we went into pre-search as I showed the students the report format that we were going to use, and we also talked about the factual and inferential questions and the difference between those. I had the students brainstorm what it was that they were going to be researching. Then I gave them time to search and actually find the information. For evaluation, I show them the rubric that we would be using, that I'll use to grade them, and that they can also use to make sure that they're on the right track. And then for communication, the students will be writing a report to me, and we'll be communicating back and forth quite a bit about the information that's contained in that report. The students will also have to do a lot of interpretation. They'll have to decide whether the information that they're looking at is quality information or not, and they're also going to have to understand that information because so much of it is new to them. I've been very impressed with how well my students have just taken to me as being a teacher, because this is the first time that these students have actually seen me in the teacher mode instead of just someone who was off on the side. They were very respectful, very much on task. They did an excellent job. They were very good about volunteering and just being active and actively involved in our activity. They also did a really nice job on the computer. Most of them knew how to copy and paste. Most of them knew which buttons to click on the windows to get the computer to do what they wanted to do. So I've been very impressed with their computer knowledge as well. I think the students are very excited about the possibility of writing a play and having so many people come and watch it, and not just the other students or their family members, but maybe people outside of the community. And I think that this will be a very big eye-opening experience for them. These students are very active, very social, and very talkative. So I wanted to make sure that my activity was well planned out and was something that could be completed in steps. That the students would have one thing that they had to do first and then something else after that. So that would help keep them focused and help keep them on task. And the students also, some of them are in talented and gifted programs, some of them are resource students, and I wanted to create an activity that would allow my talented and gifted students to really take it as far as they could, but also something that was manageable and still interesting and challenging to the resource room students as well.